pull up my stuff and
we're live. So, how you
oh, there we
doing?
go.
It's time to breathe again on this latest edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. So you see me and Patrick. Patrick is on the alternate computer today. So if
Yeah,
there are
got, got some technical difficulties going on in this house, man.
yeah, normally it's me who has the technical difficulties with the internet or something, um but hey, Patrick is here. Good to have you with me again, Patrick. I really appreciate it. And you know how we do, man. We'll just get right to the review and the preview, starting with college football. So, what caught your eye this or last weekend?
So dude, there were several games that I got. I'm gonna start off with Mississippi State and Auburn. It was that was that's a tough loss for Auburn, man. A lot of people wanting to blame the defense for all the scoring that Mississippi State had, but I want to give you a different perspective. Bo Nix has got to stop going 3-and-out. How about that? How about giving your defense enough break? Give your defense enough time to rest before you throw them right out there again and only take off 23 seconds of the clock. How about
They
that?
caught, they caught Texas syndrome. Yep, I got
Yeah, exactly. And and that's what I kept hearing all weekend was, oh well, I was like, they can't stop anybody. They're just scoring at will. Oh, well, your offense has got to give your defense enough time to take a break. I mean, because literally they're hitting the benches, getting a drink of water, running back on the field. That was it. That happened all third quarter. You know what I'm saying? So no, let's pull that back some. Let's look at the offense a little bit and say, one, coach, offensive coordinator, whoever that may be, stop playing conservative because that is BS. Don't do that. Um, but one of the things that I really want to point out from this is the Eagle Spirit, 25 years old, being retired last game. So that was a sad moment in my eyes because since 2002 that same Eagle has been flying for Auburn. So sad moment in the SEC. You know how I am, man. I'm a huge SEC fan. Georgia first, SEC second. So that was a little bit of a sad moment seeing Spirit go, but rest easy, Spirit, and I know the next one will definitely pick up the reins and do a great job. So I wanted to say that the Michigan Penn State game that was a little bit more tighter than Michigan wanted. I tell you that. Penn State played really well. They came out with a good game plan. It's just Michigan executed their game plan much better. Um, how about Oklahoma and Baylor? Like we said, we knew they were going to catch a loss somewhere.
yeah.
I'm going to tell you though, Lincoln Riley was not happy. But
He
Baylor
was
came out with a
mad
great
because
plan.
they got whooped. That's why he mad. I mean, he goes
Well,
look.
it took away their whole plan.
Yeah, he was mad because Texas
um,
North got whooped. They saw their college football playoff dreams go up in flames.
yep. And that's exactly what it did too. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But Baylor, man, let me tell you, a game plan was executed and played well. Baylor did a phenomenal job against that defense. I think it would have been a lot more close. I think it would have been closer if what's his name, Williams,
Yeah.
if he didn't go out. But hey, that's the reason why you got to prepare your backup.
Well, look, well, Patrick, Lincoln Riley made that decision to pull him. He
I
put
know.
Spencer Rattler in there for a drive, like a drive or two, and Spencer Rattler, and didn't do anything. So then he puts Caleb Williams back in when the game is over. Look, now, Patrick, I did a shorty on this earlier today on the dysfunction in the Big 12 with my team and with Oklahoma. And
Hey, I'm on the webcast. Real life.
Yes. And so look, man, I mean, I did a shorty on it. I won't say too much about it except for Lincoln Riley panicked. He panicked. He saw everything going bad. It's been nothing but peaches and cream or sunshine and rainbows, whatever analogy you want to use, since Caleb Williams came in. Now there was some adversity. Baylor was punching them in the face, hitting them in the mouth. Baylor ran for almost 300 yards in that game. And all of a sudden, Lincoln Riley saw things going astray. So, man, let me see if I can rescue it. Man, Caleb Williams ain't looking good. Let me put Spencer Rattler in here. And he didn't do anything. And Patrick, man, I know you got some more games, so I'll stop it here. But
no, you're
good. But I'll say this. When you make that decision to go to a quarterback, when you had a starter in there, when you make that decision to pull him and things are going well and you stay with that quarterback, it is hard to go back to the original dude. That is just a hard sell to do. It just causes way too much turmoil. Now you don't know what the message is. It's just it's a mess. Yeah, they can hide behind the whole thing. Well, we got to do what we can to win the game. But man, look, again, it's been sunshine and rainbows for Texas North since Caleb Williams came in there. The minute they started getting hit in the face, now they want to start pulling dudes. Bad look on Lincoln Riley. Horrible. Yeah. Lincoln Riley.
I agree. And this is the reason right here. I know Texas is looking bad right now, but this is the reason right here that I tell you I feel Texas is going to be better in the SEC than Oklahoma. That's the reason why right there, because I just don't feel the coaching, like you said, when it's all what'd you say? Skittles
sunshine
and rainbows,
peaches and cream.
Sunshines and rainbows, Skittles and rainbows, whatever it is. Whenever it's peanut butter and Reese's, whatever.
There you go. Peach cobbler. Sorry. All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna turn this into a food webcast in a minute.
Oh, sorry. Dude, we about to mess up because I'm about to get me something to eat. That's all I'm saying. Don't get me. Yeah, dude. I'm from Georgia. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I hear you. Yes, I got you. I hear you.
But this is when you don't see adversity, and Oklahoma hasn't. I mean, let's be honest. Right now, they are the best team. They are, and Baylor arguably can be one of them as well. But right now, they're good. But as soon as adversity hits, what do? Are you going to panic? Are you going to pull the trigger and pull out your starters, or are you going to let them? Are you going to let them fight it through? Well, Texas is going through that right now. They're not pulling their starters. They're letting them fight it through. They're letting them figure it out. And that, to me, is better lessons learned than pulling your starter. So here we go. I can get started on this. I feel Texas is going to be better in the SEC because of that right there. And they may not have the depth that they need right now, but they will get it. I promise you that. So, and everybody's calling for Steve's head right now. Put that on pause. Let's hold off for a minute. Let the man do his job. I promise you, he will do much better than your last two coaches. So let's give it some time. Anyway, but that's what I felt. I mean, I felt that Baylor just came out with a better game plan, offensive and defensively. They just looked better. They did. Moving on, I called this game Georgia-Tennessee. I said 31-17. Everybody, and when I tell you everybody looked at me and said Tennessee won't put up 17 points, I said their offense is good enough to do it. They won't win, but their offense is good enough to put up 17 points. And the reason why is because, one, Georgia has not seen an offense that is this fast. And I don't mean that they're fast hitting the corners. I don't mean that they're fast play calls. You're going to get hit with on the field. You're going to get hit with what do they call them? Illegal substitutions. You're going to get hit with this all game. And that's Georgia did. It's because they're too big to get off the field in time. And if you're going to do it, Kirby Smart. Think about it. If you're going to substitute, do not substitute on the far hash. Substitute closer. Give your boys enough time to get off the field. Or don't substitute at all. I mean, come on. But I called that. I said Tennessee will score 17 points because I think their offense was good enough to do it because Georgia hasn't seen it. Now it's going to be harder to beat them, putting 17 points up the way Tennessee runs that offense. So, with that being said, I thought Tennessee did a great job. They came out with the best they could with the situation that they're in. They just don't have the depth, and third quarter and fourth quarter showed that. Moving on, Ohio State and Purdue. Ohio State handled business, man. I mean, they got two more tough games with Michigan and then Michigan State, but again, you're right, man. We'll see. I don't think anybody can beat them, but it's the reason why you play the games. So we'll see.
I just have to see it to believe it, man. I mean, it's been a while since anybody in the Big Ten has risen up and taken that conference from them.
Yeah. So
but Michigan State and Michigan has a chance.
Yeah.
They have a shot.
Texas A&M losing all their hopes to hit the SEC championship, man, with that loss right there. Ole Miss came in and handled business at home. I mean, what can you say? I did expect that to be a lot more higher scoring game than that, but because 29-19 Ole Miss. But that was a well played defense game on both sides. The fact that it was not looking like 29-19 at the half. I tell you, because I think it was like 7-3, 10-6 or something like that.
Well, no, Ole Miss was up 15-0, man. It looked like they were on their way to blowing A&M out. But A&M, they were able to kind of hold them down a little bit when they got into the red zone. They kept that game kind of closer.
Yeah.
And then A&M got some points there, and then they kind of got away from them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
The next game was the Arkansas LSU game. Arkansas coming into LSU, beating them. You can tell this team is kind of checked out with Ed moving on. You can kind of see that it is. They want to play for him, but they don't. So
lame duck now.
Yeah. So I think LSU is probably done for the next couple of seasons. Because I don't think anybody's. I mean, hey, don't be surprised. I will say this though: don't be surprised if Lane Kiffin doesn't take that job at LSU. Though I will say that. Putting it out there.
I've heard that rumor.
I wouldn't be surprised if all jokes aside, I wouldn't be surprised if I started that rumor because as soon as I said it, I was like, all of a sudden it's like all over everywhere. I was like, I swear, my life is tapped.
No, man. Like we'll get into the coaching vacancies in a little bit, but yeah, Saturday Down South was the source of where I had heard that from too. So it's being floated around.
Yeah. So, well, that's all the games I got. Oh, I'm sorry. One more. Sorry. NC State and Wake Forest. Man, that was a good game. I watched a little bit of that in the third and fourth quarter. Man, that was a shootout, dude.
Yeah, Wake Forest. Yeah, they're going to be in a lot of 55-52 games.
Yeah,
they can't stop anybody.
They can't stop anybody, but man, they can score on anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Patrick, I think you got most of the games that I was looking at, man. We talked about Oklahoma and Baylor. My team, the Longhorns, we're looking pretty bad right now, losing to Kansas. Looks very, very dire. There's a lot of problems down there down in Austin, and it's not really it goes far beyond the coach. There's got to be some fixing with the program, period. And it's just really exposing itself on the field right now. But the Mississippi State Auburn game. So I mean, Auburn was up 28-3, and and Mississippi State just continued to come back and fight back. And like you said, if the offense for Auburn, if they can't stay on the field, then that just makes the defense more and more tired. And so that's the other end of it. A lot of people just kind of look at it as if, oh, like what you pointed out, the defense collapsed. The defense collapsed. True, defense had a hand in collapsing, obviously, but it's complementary football. And if the offense is not staying on the field, and the defense got to come back out there after running maybe a 7-8 play drive against them. Got to come back out there. Here comes another 10 play drive.
4 plays.
Yeah.
Literally 4 plays. The very first 3 and out Auburn had 4 plays, took off 23 seconds off the clock. That was it.
See, that it ain't gonna get it. Any defense, no defense is gonna withstand that. I don't care who it is. Nope. So I mean, you got, and then you mentioned Ohio State. Yeah, they just handled business, man. I guess they saw what was going on with some of these other games in the past weeks, and they said Purdue will not spoil us. Hey, you could call them the spoiler makers all you want to, but not this week. Nope. Ohio State came in there and they did handle the business at hand. So then you said Texas A&M and Ole Miss. Ole Miss still alive in there. They need Alabama to lose twice, actually, to be in there, and I don't see that happening with Bama. And then you got Arkansas, LSU. LSU kind of checked out there. Oklahoma State now is becoming a bigger threat here in the Big 12. Yeah, they do have the head-to-head over Baylor, and they will play Oklahoma in a couple of weeks up there in Stillwater. So watch Oklahoma State to maybe jump in here. Now, they need help, of course. I mean, because you got these other teams in front, like Michigan and Michigan State. But, I mean, both of them, they could take L's in the next couple of weeks. So Ohio State, so we'll see what happens.
Yep.
And and Cincinnati, I'll say they look better than they have been in the previous few weeks.
They did.
So maybe they're starting to get comfortable with the hype, and if you want to call it pressure as well. Maybe they're starting to get more comfortable with that, and maybe they're starting to play a little bit more freer. They have SMU coming in, and again, if everything works out, then they have a ranked 1-loss Houston team they'll have to see in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. So we'll see what happens with there. But other than that, man, I guess unless you had anything, we can move on to the preview of next week's games.
And just one thing, the new rankings came out, and
there's no change.
Top 7 is the same. Nothing changed. Oklahoma dropping 5 is about the biggest thing that happened, because you still got Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Michigan State. And obviously there's going to be some flip-flopping through there, because you got Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State that's going to be playing each other in the next 2 weeks, because Ohio State has Michigan State this week and then Michigan next week. So there might be a little bit of shuffling around in that area. Don't see Georgia losing, don't see Alabama losing. And then your new 8, 9, and 10 is Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, and Wake Forest.
Yeah, like I said, God texted you that earlier today, man. I was like, there ain't gonna be no change. Like, everybody pretty much handled their business. So if anything, it was gonna start at number 8, which is where Oklahoma was at last week, and then they were gonna move them down to 5 spots. So we'll see that there'll be some change next week, though.
Yeah, they're gonna be some moving around there somewhere, but
so
don't know if it's gonna be in the top 4.
So what are you looking forward to next week?
So very first game right off the bat, you got Michigan State and Ohio State. They're playing in Ohio, so that one is definitely going to be a game to watch to see if that number 7 can knock off number 4. Don't see it happening, but hey, there's a reason why you play the game. Wake Forest and Clemson. I'd like to see how. I mean, we say it time and time again, but Clemson being the reigning champs of the ACC, you know, hopefully nobody gets caught, but they are playing in Clemson, so that might be an interesting game to check out a few plays for. Um, the Arkansas Alabama game. Alabama is obviously not done with their SEC road. They still got Arkansas this week and Auburn next week. So um, don't see them catching a loss to Arkansas, but you never know. I don't see it. I actually about 100% guarantee you Alabama's going to win that game. Cincinnati and SMU. This is a very interesting game, honestly, in my opinion. I think Cincinnati does win, but hey, SMU could play a spoiler in that game, so it might be an interesting
score.
Well, true, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a little bit better of a game. I think SMU is going to. Hopefully, they figure out something because I'd really like to see them give Cincinnati a run for their money. Not that I want Cincinnati to lose. I'd really like Cincinnati to make it in the top four, but make it a little tough for them. Get them ready for whoever they're going to play because chances are they're probably going to play Georgia or Alabama first. And if they happen to win one of those games, then guess who they got second? Georgia or Alabama. so it's very interesting for Cincinnati. So keep an eye on that game. And there was one more game, Oregon and Utah. That's going to be a good game as well. So there's my games to watch this week.
Yeah, Oregon having to go to Salt Lake City. That's gonna be tough. Oregon is going to have to throw the ball a little bit better than they have been. They've been able to kind of run the ball, be physical or more physical than the rest of those teams they played in the Pac-12 conference. They're going to have to throw a little bit against Utah because Utah is pretty tough up front. You're going to have to hit some play action passes somewhere. So Anthony Brown is going to have to be a playmaker in the passing game more so than he has been. If not, that there's a very good chance that could be a loss in Salt Lake City.
Yep.
And then, Michigan State and Ohio State. Michigan State. What worries me in this game about them is their secondary is not good against the pass, and Ohio State has all those receivers running around there. Those dudes. I mean, Olave, Wilson, and then Smith Najigma, I think his name is. They have weapons all over the place on that receiving core. And unless Michigan State can get pressure on Stroud, then it could be a long day for Michigan State. Now, their only chance is, they do these things, then they got a shot. Kenneth Walker, the running back who right now is probably in my estimation, the front runner for the Heisman, he got to have a big game because they got to control the clock. If they're going to have a hope, they cannot have short drives. They got to eat up time of possession, 35, 40 minutes time of possession for them. And Kenneth Walker got to be huge in that game. The other thing, they can get some pressure on Stroud for some turnovers. They're able to do those things, then they have a shot. But if one of those things go off kilter, man, Ohio State can win by 20.
Quick.
Yes, especially in Columbus. They can win that real quick. But yeah, it definitely could be an interesting game there if Michigan State is able to do those things. Arkansas and Alabama. I feel like Arkansas might be good in the first half, and then I think Alabama pulls away. This scrimmage game Alabama had last week against New Mexico State might have been able to tighten up some screws, I guess, kind of get some things right with them on their offensive execution, and I can see them beating Arkansas pretty solidly. And then You guys gotta get healthy game. I think this week I'll call it that. I mean, we don't want to sit there.
We got 2 get healthy games.
Yeah, so
And
we got
we need
Charleston
them too.
put it in. Yeah, exactly. Because Georgia is a little beaten up there. They got some nagging injuries there, so you can kind of get some rest there against Charleston Southern, and then the Georgia Tech game. Yeah, it's a rivalry game, so we'll see what happens there. But y'all should handle Georgia Tech. Should. Um, and then there was one more that I was looking at also. Let me go back to the schedule. Yeah, SMU and Cincinnati was one. Okay. Iowa State in Oklahoma could be interesting too, because they want to see if Oklahoma is if they're done, like how are they going to respond after having their season pretty much come crashing down at the hands of Baylor. And then Baylor's going to be at Kansas State, and Oklahoma State's going to be at Texas Tech. So all those teams, I mean, they're still in the running. Because the thing is, I mean, all of them have. Well, Baylor has 2 losses. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State has 1 loss. So I mean, there's still a lot on the table for Texas North. But we'll see how they respond, if they're going to just say to themselves, "Man, our championship hopes are done." So
Honestly, their championship hopes were done before that loss. I didn't see them getting into the top 4 at all. I mean, when you look at it, Michigan State, I mean, Ohio State, I guess, could have took care of them. But if they take care of them and Oregon takes care of business, Oklahoma ain't getting in. And
right.
I mean, I'm sorry. To me, if Oklahoma goes undefeated, I would put them over an undefeated Cincinnati. But a 1-loss Oklahoma team to Baylor, undefeated Cincinnati, I'd have to ride with the undefeated Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cincinnati deserves to be in there regardless. I mean, me personally, that's just kind of how I feel about it. But we know it is a Power 5 invitational. So,
Yep.
let's see. Anything to add before we go on to these coaching vacancies?
Nope, that's it.
All right, so man, I felt like the reason why I kind of brought up the coaching vacancies thing, Patrick, is because I think it's interesting, the conversation that is happening right now with these vacancies. So LSU has a vacancy, as you pointed out earlier. USC has a vacancy. Miami and Florida perhaps could have a vacancy. So I mean, there's a lot of spots, because Dan Mullen seat is hot down there in Gainesville, and they gave up 52 points to Sanford. So this past week. So.
Hey, shout out to my boy Jay Stanton. That he's the running back for Sanford, and he put up some major numbers, man, against the Florida defense. So shout out to him, because that was a heck of a game for him.
Yeah, and shoot,
I worked with his dad, and that's the reason why I know him. I worked with his dad at the water sewer company when I was IT there, and I helped him with a lot of schoolwork. So he'd come into my office, and I would tutor him a little bit here and there when he needed some help. So yeah, he came out, or he would come in there, and I'd help him with a little bit of schoolwork. And now look at him. Makes me proud.
So yeah, I mean, he had a big game. Sanford was having a big game. I mean, they were winning that game into the half, 42-35. But there's some vacancies that are coming up in Virginia Tech. There's a vacancy there because Justin Fuente, he got let up. And so these schools, I guess the reason why I think this is kind of interesting is because based off of past reputation, a lot of people would say, "Ooh, you go to USC, this would be great. You go to Miami, this would be great. Potentially, if you go to Florida or and LSU, You mentioned that with Lane Kiffin. That so you heard his name in LSU. You heard his name also based off of the Saturday Down South. That source I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Florida could become somewhere Lane Kiffin goes, depending on what they do with Dan Mullen. But Jimbo Fisher was also being reported as maybe taking the LSU job, but Jimbo Fisher has vehemently denied him going there. A&M is paying him very well though, so I don't see him leaving College Station either. But the thing is, off of past reputations, these places are supposed to be great places. But how long, I guess this is the question I have for you. How long are we going to stay with past reputations? Look, these situations, they're not good right now because if they were, they would have a steady coach. It's just these coaches are just being shuffled through. So do we really can we get off of the whole, oh man, it's just a good place based off of past reputation, or are we just gonna hang on to that just because of past reputation? Because I mean, look, I tell you, like LSU right now, that's not a good situation. I
No.
understand the resources. I understand the resources that are there in Baton Rouge, but that is not a good situation there.
Well, so to me, and this is just personal opinion. I mean, my personal opinion, I want a bad situation. I want a bad situation so that I can turn it around. And if you look at what Nick Saban does, that's exactly what he does. He takes horrible situations and he turns them to championship teams. I think he only does it to see if he could do it. But how long is he going to be in Alabama before he decides to do it again? Now I know the man's 70 years old. He's probably going to be pushing on looking at retirement. But you know what? What's one more good hoorah? You know, and take his coaching and his recruiting skills to, I don't know, possibly Vanderbilt and see what he could do there. You know what I'm saying? It would be, but it's an interesting, and I only say that because it's interesting. It's interesting to see Nick Saban go to Vanderbilt to see if he can turn a baseball school to a football school. And he's the type of person that's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll see if I can do it. Granted, he is older. I don't know if he's into it like that anymore, but it makes for an interesting conversation, is all I'm saying. But to me, I want the bad situation. I want somebody that says this is a horrible situation. You shouldn't take this coaching spot, because that's where I want to be. Because I want to go in, I want to rip everything out and put it back in place the way it's supposed to be, just like Nick Saban does. You know, are you going to turn it into um, are you going to turn it into a national championship team? Probably not in the next 2 or 3, 4 years, but that's the opportunity that you're looking for. That's where you want to be, is so that you can turn that around. Getting handed a championship team kind of takes the fun out of it in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? So that's just personal opinion, but a lot of these vacancies are due to bad situations. Then it's not bad coaching 100%. I put bad coaching about 50% of the reason why coaches leave, but the other 50% is the schools. They're not giving. Not only are they bad situations, the schools are not giving the coaches an opportunity to make it a good situation. They just keep wallowing in their bad situations. And to me, that's a bigger problem than trying to find a coach that has issues. Like, I mean, look, everybody hates Lane Kiffin, especially people in the SEC. But you know what? I have to look at the man and say, you know what? Since his days at USC, he has went to Alabama. Look at what he's did with Ole Miss. Give him a chance. I mean, who knows? But you got to give him a chance and not just be like, okay, well, he's coming to, let's just say Florida. Let's just say he goes to Florida. It's a bad situation, but that's not the worst situation in all of college football. I mean, we can name about 15 colleges that are worse than Florida. I mean, let's be serious.
Yeah.
So, but let's give him a chance. I mean, like that, to me, I want the bad situation. I want to be able to go in and give me a few years to take it and turn it around. If I can't turn it around, if I can't start the turnaround in 3 years, fire me. But give me a chance, because that's where I would want to be.
Yeah, the the situations. I mean, let's say like currently those situations of whether it is Florida again, depending on what they do with Dan Mullen, and then LSU is going to have that vacancy. USC, Miami, Virginia Tech situations right now they don't look that good, but I can also see it from your standpoint, and I'm with you. Look, if I can come in there and everything's kind of bad, now I really get the chance to build my own identity and I can put my stamp on the school. And I can go in there and say, this is how this was. Garbage, get it out of here. And it's just kind of like that cleaning house. Yeah, man, get rid of everything. Any type of remnants from that past regime, let's get it on out of
Hey,
there.
what
Absolutely.
what I used to say, Gatorade bottles,
Yep,
gone.
gone.
Benches,
The coolers,
gone.
gone. Yeah,
Coolers, gone.
yeah.
Locker doors, gone. Everything, gone. I want it out. I want it ripped.
So, I mean, I guess the main thing, Patrick, is a lot of these situations are just kind of given the title of a good situation because of past reputations. Currently, they are not that. They're not good spots. Now, can the resources are in place to where they can be got like we talked about it earlier in Austin with Texas. That's a very good situation in Austin to be able to make something happen there.
Mhm.
You have all the resources in the world. You're in the state of Texas. You can get that recruiting pool that you can turn some things around there in Austin. But you just have to fight off the boosters and the athletic directors to kind of do that if you're the coach. That's what
Yeah,
Sarkeesian is dealing with right now. It's pretty much the same in terms of what you have in Baton Rouge. LSU's the charter school in the state of Louisiana. Plenty of resources to turn some things around. Internally, you had a lot of investigations that were happening in terms of coaches just not doing right, really. Of course, the term with Les Miles uh has come under fire for a whole bunch of stuff. And Ed Orgeron, kind of the same thing there. But in Baton Rouge, you do have a lot of resources that can turn it around there if the coach is able to be there, be settled, and make some things happen. Same in Gainesville. Same in Miami. I mean, all these places, even out in USC, you're out there in Los Angeles. I mean, it's a dream place for a lot of people to go to is Los Angeles. Yeah, we can't
mhm.
stand USC, but they're in a prime area.
They
I mean, you
make
got
a lot
to,
of money. I can't
yeah,
stand their money, but they make a lot of money.
yeah. so, so yes, the resources are there, but I think we have to call a square square. And right now, if a coach is to take over there, it's not a good situation. There's a reason why you're getting hired there because you're being tasked to clean that up. You gotta clean up the mess. And so,
Yeah,
like you said, you gotta get rid of those Gatorade coolers and you gotta get rid of those locker room benches. All of them gotta go, right? and so, and so that's why you're coming in there because it's not that good of a situation. But the resources are there. And I think that distinction has to be made. That compartmentalization has to be made. They were good situations for a time. Right now, they are not. Do you
right.
have the resources to be able to make them back into what they were? Absolutely, you do, particularly in these places that we were talking about. Even in Virginia Tech, man, you're not too far from the DC area. Maryland and Pennsylvania has a lot of talent that you can recruit from over there, and you're right there by Ohio as well. So, I
Mhm.
mean, there are resources that are there, but I think that distinction that doesn't get made enough, and I guess that's the biggest thing. That's why I kind of want to bring this up as a topic just to see what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the tools are there. The tools are there. Every one of them are there. It's just whether the coaches want to use it or not.
And do they get the chance, like you
And do they
said?
get the chance? Because even with let's just say millions of dollars of tools. If you're only able to use the first 100,000, you're really not given an opportunity. You're not given a fair opportunity to turn that organization around or even that school around. So you got to give the opportunity. You have to have the opportunity to do it, but you also got to have the willingness to do it and utilize those tools that are at your disposal so that you can make the right decisions and become that coach that you may not win a championship, but you're handing it to the next coach saying you should be able to win a championship within the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
All right, Patrick. Well, hey man, let's jump into a little bit of the NFL before we get on out. So from the games from last week, which ones caught your eye? There were some statements made.
There was some statements made. Miami. There was a statement made.
One of those,
congratulations to that Miami team for what's that?
One of those clunkers for Baltimore. It looked like.
Yeah, it was. It was. I don't know if that was a statement game for Miami or
Miami gave it to them though, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, they played well. I mean, they did play well. I would hang this loss more on Baltimore's defense. Just did not show up. That defense looked lost. I saw a bunch of this. Come on.
Well, Patrick, Baltimore scored 10 points, man. That offense
was pretty bad too. So I don't know if this was a statement game for Miami or as much as it was just like you said, it was a clunker game for Baltimore. I would probably lean more towards the clunker game for Baltimore because nobody showed up. Literally, everybody put in their bid and was like, "I'm staying home this weekend." Okay, and Miami took the win. So, but no, good game for Miami to take that win and hopefully success follows. That's all you can hope for that team. Dude, when I tell you, man, when I say this every week, and as long as he's doing it, I'll keep saying it every week. Mac Jones is getting better and better and better, dude. That kid is nasty good, man. He is good, and he runs that offense very well.
He's in the right situation for him.
He is in the right situation. You are absolutely right. But yeah, Mac Jones, man, I'll say it week after week. That kid is getting better. That man is getting better. Good for him. Buffalo looks like they're back on putting a whipping on the Jets, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the Jets, but first of all, Buffalo is back to. It looks like they're back to their old selves. Let's put it that way, because that makes what next week. I think next week, and I know we're going to go over to say, but I think next week, New England versus Buffalo.
Nah,
it's not. Colts. Who? The Colts. Okay. Well, I know that Buffalo and New England have a game coming up.
Yeah, they got two.
They still haven't played each other?
Nope.
Yeah. Ooh, hopefully that is back-to-back games, one in Buffalo and one in New England. That would be interesting. I'm going to look that up in just a second. Hey, congratulations, Detroit. You did not lose. You didn't win, but you didn't lose either. Hey, bro. If you want to watch the sloppiest game you have ever watched in your entire life, watch that one. Nobody wanted to win. Nobody.
It was pretty. It was.
Oh, bro! It was from the get go. That game was horrible. Penalties were out. Dude, I want to say there was 4 turnovers with the ability of 16. That was the most pathetic game I have ever watched in my life. It was horrible. Washington beating Tampa Bay. Washington played really well. I have to give them a lot of credit. Tom was just not on his game, man. And sometimes this happens. I mean, even the GOAT has an off day, I guess. But I would have to say that this was a Tom Brady off day. I think he threw 2 interceptions in that game, too.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one? Carolina and Arizona. Cam Newton. He's back. He's back. No, man, good for Cam to get his 1 year contract. I think it totals out at like 1 year for $10 million. I think it's like 5 million guaranteed. Good for him, man. I mean, he's been he from what I hear, he has been in the weight room, really working hard, trying to get back out there on the field. So good for him to get a contract, and good for him to show up. I think he threw for a touchdown and ran a touchdown in. I think so. So he's back. Good for him. I'm not a huge fan of Cam Newton on the field, but off the field, I'm a huge fan of his. He is he tries to be a good guy. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I don't know him, so but I mean, I'm a fan of Cam Newton, man. I hope the best for him, and I hope he finds a landing spot. The Green Bay and Seattle game. How about that Green Bay defense, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. Was not expecting them to shut out Seattle, but Seattle has issues.
Yeah, and they were made blatantly clear on Sunday. So, but no, shout out to Green Bay, man. They came in and they did their thing. They handle business. That's what you do. It doesn't matter if you're having. It doesn't matter what the other team's going through. You still got to handle your business. Handle your business. You let them handle theirs. Don't worry about them. You just worry about you. So good on Green Bay for coming home and shutting them out. And the Rams. Woo, boy, they have got some problems themselves.
Yeah, we'll get on the Rams.
Not against anything against your 49ers, but boy, those 49ers played really well.
Yeah, so. We'll get on the Rams here a little bit. But yeah, the 49ers, like I said earlier. Oh, did you have anything else before I went on?
No, I'm good.
Okay. My bad. I just wanted to make sure you got them in.
Yeah, I got everything in.
All right. Yeah, but like we said about the 49ers last week, man, this was a must-win game. Like if they were going to do anything this season, they had to win this game on Monday night, and they came through in a big way. So definitely much props to the 49ers. And they came in there, they punched the Rams in the face. And yeah, those issues, yeah, we'll get on the Rams in a bit. But the Chiefs going into Vegas on Sunday night and mopping the Vegas Raiders like they did. This was the performance a lot of people were waiting for from the Chiefs. Now you got it. Let's see if they can continue it. That's the main thing now. Because now the chess match begins, Patrick. Teams were playing those two safeties back, trying to make Patrick Mahomes and that offense be patient. And Mahomes was trying to force the ball down the field, and it was a lot of interceptions. Well, with the Raiders, he was patient, and he ended up having 400 yards throwing. Now the chess match begins. Our team's going to blitz more now. What are they going to do? Are they willing to leave them one-on-one with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce more and more? That's the chess match that's going to start with the Dallas Cowboys next week, which we'll do the next week's preview in a minute. But Washington beating Tampa Bay. I mean, this is okay. And Philly beating Denver too. All right. The teams in the NFC East are finally starting to show up. They're a little late to the party, but they're finally starting to show, hey, we got some talent here. We can actually play a little bit. They're finally starting to show up a little bit.
Finally got some confidence about themselves.
It's about time. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And then there was the Patriots. The Patriots look strong, man. They look strong. That defense looks strong. They are ball hawks out there. Yeah, they take the ball away, and Mac Jones playing this way, and they're starting to let them do a little bit more on the offensive end in terms of throwing the ball down the field. It's not just him checking it down anymore. He is making downfield throws. And this New England team is something you do not want to watch. And when you got Bill Belichick as your head coach, you're right there in the mix, especially in a conference where nobody's running away from anybody. Those were the things that kind of stood out to me. And the Chargers losing to the Vikings. You know how I feel about the Chargers. I always felt they were overrated anyway, and now they're starting to come back down to
and they're starting to rear that ugly head of theirs now.
Exactly. Well, Patrick, hey man, let's get to the preview real quick before we get on the Rams. What games are you looking forward to this week?
Buffalo. I'd like to see if Buffalo continues their success against the Colts. So that's one. It's going to be a very good game. I think that's going to be a lot better game than most people say. Dude, I gotta say it, man. Cleveland and Detroit, man. I don't know why, and maybe it's because I'm just rooting that nobody has an 0-6. Well, the best part about this is that they're not going to set any records this year. They've already went 0-16. That's the best they can. That is the worst they can do now. So, hey, 0-16-1. Hey, it's not 0-17. So, congratulations to the Lions on that part. But truthfully, man, I want to see them get a win. I'm rooting for them to get a win. I do not want to. I don't like 0-16 and 0-17. Man, those suck.
If you're a fan of the Lions, my God. All right. Sorry. I don't want to get at you, Rats. Go on, Patrick.
Detroit needs to find some players and spend some freaking money, man. The history behind Detroit, man. It's just like you look back on all that history that they got in Detroit, and you're just like, spend some money, man, and get some players in there and try to make a run. But it's kind of disheartening. I hate the fact that they haven't won a game yet. But I mean, I'm kind of rooting for them, man. I'd love to see them get a win. So I'm gonna be watching that. I've only been watching the Detroit Lions just to see them get a win. I want to see them get a win, and I want to be part of that to see when about time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm secretly rooting for the Lions, man. I really am. I'm rooting for them, no matter who they play. I'm like, dude, freaking put them against Atlanta. At least they'll get a win. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There was a game that was really sticking out to me, and I saw it earlier. Arizona and Seattle. They're playing in Seattle. I think this is going to be a lot better game than. But I think Seattle is a little irritated with the fact they just got a big goose egg last week. So I think they're going to come out strong and they're going to play against this Cardinals team and give them everything they can. I think Cardinals will win at the end of the game, but I think Seattle is going to be trying to throw everything at them because they do not want to get another goose egg on that scoreboard. So that makes that an interesting game. The one you said before, Dallas and Kansas City. Well, here we are. You know, that chess match that you said. Are they going to sit back and force Patrick Mahomes to be patient because now he's finally done it? Or are they going to rush him and force him to play Patrick Mahomes football? That's interesting because Dallas is a defense that can literally do both. And they have been really good at it this season. So that's an interesting game. Washington and Carolina. I want to see both of these teams go at each other because finally Carolina is put a win in the books, but it took getting Cam Newton back to do that. And see if Washington can carry that win over and see how well it goes for them. So those are the games I'm looking at.
Yeah, you got the Giants and Buccaneers game on Monday night is a little interesting to me because the Giants, they've been playing tough, and they've been close in these games. Tampa Bay been kind of struggling a little bit. So let's see if the Giants might be able to sneak one in there. I don't see it happening. I mean, Tampa Bay is tough at home. So
And Tom Brady had a bad game. So no.
So that one, the Bengals and Raiders is an interesting one to me.
Yeah.
I think it's in that 10, kind of the same time slot there with the Cowboys and the Chiefs and the Cardinals and Seahawks. Both of those are interesting. Like I said, what we were talking about with the chess match with the both, to see if Patrick Mahomes is going to be forced to be patient by Cowboys, and see what the Chiefs defense does against Dak Prescott and those receivers they have. The Saints and Eagles is an interesting one to me too, because I think the Eagles can pull that one out.
I think they can too.
And
I kind of think the Saints are like borderline done, dude.
The quarterback situation and a lot of the injuries are kind of hurting them.
Yeah.
And then you pointed out the Washington and Carolina, and one more before we move on to the Rams. The Packers and Vikings is interesting because it's that rivalry, and Minnesota has to do something kind of like what the 49ers were last week against the Rams. This is the Vikings game here. They're going to have to beat the Packers at some point, and they're going to have to beat them to basically keep their season alive at this point. And that, they won't be scared of the Packers, seeing how this is a division rivalry. So the Packers have to be careful, see if they can put some points on the board. That's going to be closer than I think a lot of people believe. So that's it for that, man. And so before we get out of here, man, we mentioned the LA Rams. So the Rams went all in. As we know, when they just basically said, we don't care about draft picks, we're going to go and we're just going to pick up all these people, starting with Matthew Stafford, the quarterback. They picked up Von Miller, and then they brought in Odell Beckham Jr. in there, who I think is the most overrated player in sports today. But yes, in sports.
Wow.
In sports, yes. I think he is the most overrated player in sports today.
Odell Beckham, right?
Yes. In sports today.
But I'm going to tell you, though, you want to watch comedy? Pull him up on YouTube, man.
I'm not thinking Patrick. You're not. No. You're not going there, Patrick. No.
Charles, it's got to be said. Charles, it's got to be said.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No.
Yes, it does. He may be overrated, but man, he is good on YouTube. It is funny.
Patrick, we're moving on. So about the Rams. This is
just look him up.
So in the last couple of weeks, they have gotten, the way they are losing is what is a little bit concerning. It's one thing to lose to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans are a very good team, and I don't know why more people have not mentioned them as a team that can be a Super Bowl contender, but they need to be thrown in there. Tennessee's got a good squad. And then
they got the best record in the AFC. Yeah, they're a good squad.
Yeah. And so
quietly the best record in the AFC.
And then the 49ers, of course, they beat up the Rams. The thing that's more concerning if you're a Rams fan or you're a member of the Rams is you are getting pushed around. The Titans and 49ers push them around. The Rams are a team, they want to play fast, and I don't want to call them finesse, but that's basically what it's proving out to be. Mm-hmm. These teams are punching them. And when you are supposed to be a championship or bust team, especially where the Rams are sitting right now they would be that first wild card, which means they would have to go on the road. So if they do have to go to Green Bay, if they do have to go to Tampa Bay, if they do have to go even potentially to Dallas right now, are you taking them to win a physical battle? Like, because you, at some point, Patrick, you got to win physical battles. Yeah. You got to win man-on-man, full contact battles if you are going to win a Super Bowl. And right now, the Rams are showing me they cannot win those battles consistently.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going on the road, which, like you said, they would have to go against whether it's the Tampa Bay, Green Bay, or Dallas, those three teams combined are 12-1 at home. So you're looking at a 4-0 at home Tampa Bay team. You're looking at a 4-0 at home Green Bay team, and you're looking at a 4-1 at home Dallas team. Now, granted, you're good on the road. You're 4-1 respectively yourself. But I don't know. Well, dude, they're 3-2. They're 3-2 at home, so maybe they better on the road. Maybe that's what they're looking for. It's like, look, we'll take that first wild card and we'll play everything on the road because we're better at on the road.
Even still, though, Patrick,
that's hard. That's hard. It's a hard task, I know. But
the physicality. That's the thing. Like they're getting pushed around, and that's not even something you can scheme. Like you're just getting whooped. Like these offensive linemen and defensive linemen for the other teams are taking your dudes and pushing them back. Like that is what is happening to the Rams, especially in 49. The 49ers ran the ball 44 times yesterday. 44 times. So that tells you just the physicality they were coming with toward the Rams. And these teams are telling the Rams, look, man, yeah, you got all these shiny new toys, but where you at with that substance? Are you bringing substance? And right now, the Rams are not bringing substance. And if they're all in. They're an all-in team, man. I'm telling you, Patrick, they have this year and maybe next year. After that, disastrous. Cap-strapped, no picks. They're in trouble.
An aging team?
Huh?
An aging team?
Yes, they are in trouble. If they don't get a ring this year, they are in trouble. That team, they might be competing with okay, they won't be in the Lions status, but all right.
No, they'll win one game.
Well, hey, Patrick. Well, hey, anything to add on the Rams before we hop out, man? I just looked at the time. I'm like, oh goodness, we're already an hour in.
Yeah, we're already over. No, I'm good, man. I'm good. You covered it all.
All right. Well, hey, y'all. Oh, now you want to move the camera. So everybody.
I looked at it for a minute and I was like, and then I started thinking, I was like, man, that's really looking at my ceiling a lot. And it just hit me that it was.
With that is what we are bringing on tonight on the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Y'all make sure y'all visit the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. So we will see you maybe this week. We'll see if we get a couple of shorties in or an article in there. And if not, then we will see you next week.
Remember, I won't be here next week.
Okay, I'll see you next week. So everybody take care. Patrick, you have a happy Thanksgiving in that regard, man.
Yeah, going to visit with all the family before Thanksgiving.
Right. Well, all right. Well, hey, everybody take it easy, and we'll just see you next time.